So remember 2020? The world just stopped. Everything went silent. Nightclubs, concerts, the entire music scene just ground to a halt. But you know what's wild? Out of that silence, a global crisis actually sparked a whole new kind of entertainment, built on pure ingenuity and a real need to connect. This is the story of how a pandemic accidentally built an infinite digital dance floor.
Yeah, that quote, it really nails it, doesn't it? When faced with a world that had completely shut down, a whole community of creators didn't just sit around and wait. Nope, they built a new world from scratch, and they built it in a place that nobody saw coming.
So let's set the scene. Early 2020, the pandemic hits, and just like that, physical nightlife is gone. For the music industry, and especially for the artists who lived and breathed it, it was a cataclysmic event.
And look, you got to understand, this wasn't just about losing a paycheck. For DJs and for VJs, the video jockeys who are mixing visuals live right there with the music, it felt like they lost a piece of their identity. This entire creative community was suddenly cut loose, searching for a new stage, a new way to connect. And at the exact same time, a global audience was stuck at home, isolated, and craving that very same connection.
So what happens? This massive community of artists starts this huge digital migration, looking for a new home. And one platform, kind of the unlikely hero in this whole story, ends up becoming their sanctuary.
Now you might be asking, why Twitch? Isn't that for video games? And yeah, it was, but it turned out to be perfectly suited for this moment. It wasn't just about streaming video. It had this low latency tech and, this is the key, real-time chat. That combo was the perfect environment to recreate the energy, the community, the whole vibe of rave culture, that feeling of being part of something together, all in a virtual space.
And wow, just look at this chart. This shows you exactly what happened next. See that spike in the second quarter of 2020? Right as the lockdowns were hitting hard? The hours streamed by creators and the hours watched by audiences just shot through the roof. This wasn't just growth, it was a tidal wave.
Which brings us to this absolutely staggering number. A 400% increase in the number of DJs streaming on Twitch since the pandemic started. Let that sink in for a second. The platform didn't just get a few new users. It became the new global hub for DJ culture, practically overnight.
So, out of all this chaos, this amazing, ambitious idea was born. A virtual nightclub that never, ever closes. A constant, non-stop, 24/7 party for the entire world. But how do you actually pull that off? Well, this is where it gets super clever. They turn the entire globe into one giant DJ booth. They use time zones to pass this virtual baton. So as a DJ in Europe was finishing their set, they'd hand it off to someone in North America, who'd then pass it to someone on the West Coast. It was this global relay race of music, a party that literally followed the sun, pioneered by a whole community of DJs, including legendary figures like video DJ Ron Tech from New York City.
Okay, so the party is raging, the community is blowing up, but of course, a massive obstacle was threatening to shut the whole thing down just as it was getting started.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures the frustration. Imagine you're in the middle of a killer mix, the chat is on fire, everyone's feeling it, and then, boom, silence. The stream is just gone. This was the reality for thousands of DJs. The process was brutally simple and totally automated. A DJ would play a track, the platform's bots would flag it as unlicensed music, and the stream would get killed, instantly. No warning, no appeal, just the digital plug being pulled.
The legal hammer behind all this was the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the DMCA. And in mid-2020, a massive wave of enforcement hit Twitch. Thousands of clips and videos were deleted, sending this huge wave of panic through the entire creator community.
But here's the thing. Even with this giant threat hanging over their heads, these streams became so much more than just a place to hear music. I mean, during a time of intense global isolation, they became these vital community hubs.
And what's really fascinating is how these creators professionalize the whole thing. Take someone like video DJ Ron Tech. He wasn't just on the platform pioneering this stuff. As Dr. Ronnie Radas, he was actually researching this very phenomenon. How cool is that? He and others weren't just playing music, they were basically creating digital television stations. They offered these curated high-def visual experiences with mixed music videos and guest VJ sets, tapping into this global nostalgia-loving audience. It was a truly immersive environment.
And they built this whole unique culture around it. The chat wasn't just some comment section. Sources called it a digital opera, where people really connected. Emotes became the way you would dance. And these traditions, like raids, where one streamer sends their entire audience over to another channel at the end of their set, created this deeply supportive ecosystem that actively fought back against the loneliness so many people were feeling.
So what about now? The world's opened back up. Did it all just fizzle out? Absolutely not. This whole movement didn't just disappear. It permanently changed the entire landscape of music and entertainment.
And the platforms themselves, they were forced to evolve. You can see the slow, kind of rocky path right here on this timeline. From the absolute panic of the 2020 takedowns, to some failed solutions, and then finally, 4 years later, to an official license program. It just goes to show you how far ahead of the curve the creators were compared to the institutions.
At the end of the day, the pandemic was like a massive accelerator. It forced a digital shift that probably would have taken 10 years and just crammed it into one. This wasn't a temporary life fest. It was a permanent evolution for the music industry.
And this right here, this shows you the brand new career model that was forged in the fire. Before 2020, a DJ was tied to a physical place and time. But in this new reality, creators like Video DJ Rontek could build a global 24/7 brand. Their income switched from one-off gigs to multiple streams, subs, ads, tips, and the performance itself transformed from a one-way broadcast into a real two-way conversation with a dedicated community.
Ultimately, this whole story leaves us with a really powerful question. It shines a light on a world where culture and technology are moving so much faster than the laws designed to govern them. And it really forces us to ask, when that happens, what, or maybe more importantly, who, gets left behind in the process?